What about another video? Today's the 31st of October, which means it's Halloween, but it also means it's time to talk about all the games that I played in October. I think a lot of games released this month. I wasn't able to get to all of them, but I did play a couple of new ones that came out in October. And I played some other stuff as well that I won't be talking about right now because those videos won't be going out until November. As always, though, you can let me know down below what you played this month. And that being said, let's get into it. Starting off with Minecraft Hardcore. I attempted Minecraft Hardcore a couple times years ago, and this month I decided to come back to it on my second channel. Can't say I've had a successful attempt as of right now. I'm on attempt 9 currently, not counting the ones from a couple of years ago, but my furthest attempt was number 7, where I actually died fighting the dragon itself. So I got close. I was nearly there. It just did some bullshit where it attacked me 3 times in a row. It might as well have been an insta-kill. Twat. It was straight up like collision damage. It just flew into me and stayed there. But yeah, for anyone that did not know, Bedrock now has hardcore mode on consoles. Like, this month was a really good time to come back to it because I much prefer playing on my console. I don't know, I like Bedrock. Yes, it's buggy, yes, there's glitches, yes, it screws you over sometimes, but I like playing on it, and it has hardcore mode now, so that's where I've been doing the majority of my attempts. A lot of people didn't know that, though, because I had loads of questions about it while I was playing. But yeah, hopefully at some point I'll be able to talk about a successful attempt at Minecraft Hardcore. Next up, we have Super Mario Party Jamboree. I'm a big fan of Mario Party. I think some of the games are so good. There's others that are pretty shit, but Mario Party games on Switch are interesting because you had the original Super Mario Party, which, let's be real, the boards are so, especially now that, like, anyone that has played the new Mario Party games on Switch, but none of the others from, like, the GameCube or the Wii or the N64, you can see just how bad the boards are in the first Super Mario Party game. Then we got Mario Party Superstars a couple of years ago, and I was very shocked that it never got any kind of DLC. Now it makes sense because they just did a new game instead, but yeah, now we have Super Mario Party Jamboree, which I think is probably the best of them all. Just talking about the Mario Party mode alone, because that is the main thing for me at least. There's so many cool boards. There's loads of character options. The main Jamboree mechanic here is you can basically get a buddy, and if you cross a star with that buddy, you can buy 2 stars instead of 1. And depending on who the buddy actually is, you get certain advantages to the player that, you know, has them as a buddy. It's a really good game. Mario Party is just straight up fun. It's full of so much bullshit that you just can't help but have a good time. Next up on the list is Silent Hill 2. Now, this was my first time playing a Silent Hill game, and I have to say, I'm already planning on playing all of the others. This game was so good. I'll talk about the ending that I got and all that, but I plan on going back and getting different endings and even playing the original game, because the original Silent Hill 2, it's like the remake is not a replacement for it, essentially. So I definitely want to play more of the remake and play the original Silent Hill 2 before going and playing the others. I'm not ready to move on from it just yet. I don't really play scary games, and you might not say this is a scary game if you play the genre a lot more than me, but for someone that doesn't play these games, man, walking around these locations, not knowing anything about them, not knowing where to go, not knowing what's there, the sound design in this game is incredible as well. The whole feel of walking around those areas, the atmosphere, it was terrifying. I really enjoyed the game. The combat was quite simple. You just get a couple of weapons, and that's all it needs to be, because it doesn't need to be any more than that. The main focus is exploring this place, trying to figure out what's going on while you progress through the areas. The puzzles were cool. I only played on standard for both difficult. I didn't even know you could change the difficulty for the puzzles themselves. The puzzles were fun to solve. The exploration was fantastic. And if you're wondering about my ending stats, I can put them on the screen. I got the in water ending, which I don't think is actually as bad as some people say it is. I think the reason I got that, I've not really looked at all the criteria as to why you get certain endings. Obviously, I didn't even know, like, certain things affected the endings while I was playing it, because I knew nothing about these games. But I know killing enemies is one thing that affects it, and I was killing every single enemy that ever tried coming up to me. And on top of that, I was making sure they were dead afterwards, because sometimes they get back up, so I'd hit them with the steel pipe like 10 times after they fell to the ground. So those things may have affected it, and there's other things that happen in the game itself, but I am going to go and get different endings because I just want to play the game again. Also, the Black Fairy soundtrack specifically, I had heard this before playing Silent Hill 2, but actually hearing it in context to the game while playing after what happens, without trying to say too much about what happens for anyone that hasn't finished the game, that soundtrack, Black Fairy, it hits on a different level. But yeah, I'm going to continue to play Silent Hill 2 before I move on to other games in the series. I know some of the later ones are apparently not that great. A lot of people say you shouldn't play anything after Silent Hill 4, but I'm just going to play I'm going to play at least the main series. Oh, by the way, why the fuck are Silent Hill games so expensive physically? They're not obscure games or anything, so why is Silent Hill on the PS1 over £100 for a disc? It's ridiculous how expensive most games in this series are physically. And the worst part is, and this is probably going to be the reason actually, there's no real good way of playing all of these games on modern platforms. There was a collection that released at some point on the 360, the HD collection. Apparently that is shit and you should avoid that at all costs. So realistically, the only way of playing a lot of them is to just emulate. And best believe I'm not paying £100 for a copy of Silent Hill on the PS1. Anyway, moving on. I also played Throne and Liberty this month. This is a new MMO, or I think it's actually been out in Korea for a while now, but it had its full release here this month, and I played it for a while. I didn't get to level 50. I think I put like 25 hours into it or something. At the end of the day, MMOs are hard to get into unless you only play MMOs, basically. Like, realistically, you could probably only play 1 or 2 MMOs at a time, depending on what you want to do in them. Mine's Final Fantasy 14. I do everything in that, but when there's not really that much going on, like right now, although next month that changes, then I could probably check out others during that downtime. Like, Guild Wars 2 is another one that I've played a bit of this year. So yeah, I decided to check this game out, and it's pretty good. Like, it was actually better than I thought it was, and I would definitely like to play it more. I think it's definitely worth checking out, especially because it is free to play. I don't know how that will affect the game as it goes on, but I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed the 25 hours that I put into it. Some really cool looking gear that you can get in that game. And another thing I liked is how you basically have your mounts from the beginning in a way. Like, you can transform essentially, so you have like a ground mount, you can fly as well, or glide at least. I actually liked that for getting around the areas. Normally in MMOs you don't have a mount early on, but you kind of act as your own, so getting around is quite fun. And overall, just on release day, there were so many people around, just going around. That early game MMO feel of leveling up and doing quests and whatnot, I really enjoy that. I liked the game. I might continue to play it at some point, but we'll have to wait and see, because I don't really know if I want to commit to an MMO. And that being said, that is pretty much all I played. There were some other things, and there were some games that I played that won't be going out until November, but I'll be able to talk about those next month. Like I said at the beginning, you can let me know down below what you played this month. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Definitely subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you all in my next video.